Okay. Before we have our quiet time, let's all get on the same page. If you're reading from the Sparkly book, it's page 405, the first full paragraph. If you're reading from the second edition, it's page 355, paragraph 4. In the first edition, it's page 331, the second full paragraph. If you're reading from the JCIM, it's page 170, the first full paragraph. And if you're reading from the CIMS edition, it is page 341, paragraph 18. Okay, let's take a few moments to be quiet together. Good evening, and welcome to everyone who's joining us on the internet. Well, did everyone have occasion to notice how often emotions arose as a means of distracting you, well, for lack of better words, and words I didn't use last time, that distracted you from being real? Real, what does that mean as I'm using it? It means grounded in your divinity. Grounded in your consciousness of truth. With that awareness being the most important thing to you, so that everything you said and everything you did, or everything you say and everything you do, arises out of that clarity. That's being real. It's not an experience any of you have for any significant amount of time. But it is an experience that needs to be nurtured on purpose. Because it's the experience of your birthright. It's the experience of your sanity. It's also the experience of your peace. And when I say peace, I mean the experience of your invulnerability. Invulnerability and peace are inseparable. And which one do you think comes first? Does peace follow invulnerability? Or does invulnerability follow peace? Fortunately, invulnerability follows peace. Why is that important? It's important because it means you cannot be the innocent victim of circumstances or situations or relationships. You always, at any given moment, have the capacity to choose for your peace and act on behalf of that experience. How do you act on behalf of that experience? You shut up. You become still. You meditate. Any form of meditation that allows you to move into the silence where thinking has been suspended. To move into the stillness, which is the beginning of the experience of peace, is to put yourself closer to the actuality of your being, which is that of being invulnerable. Now it's very simple. Special relationships have as their goal to distract you from your peace, to distract you from your ability to be real and know that you are real, to know that you are divine, to have the total experience of union with God, right while you're driving down the freeway, right when you're hugging your children, right when you are firmly standing for principle with someone who does not want to abide by principle. You see? Unholy relationships, special relationships, simply are detrimental. They're not just useless, they're not just meaningless, they are, as long as you are indulging in them, actually detrimental. They actually cause the experience of discomfort, whether mental or physical or emotional. There is nothing productive or constructive about them. And you know what? Forgiveness and healing involve abandoning what is detrimental, what is not constructive, what blinds you to the conscious experience of who and what you divinely are. Now, there's another aspect to special relationships, unholy relationships. Relationships in which shadow figures are the primary figures that you relate to. And that is that everything is kept fuzzy. Crystal clear, sharp clarity doesn't happen. Whenever there begins to be clarity or a demand for clarity, all of you very skillfully find ways to move the conversation in the direction of vagueness and fuzziness. You don't want to be pinned down. Somebody wants to know something specific about you. You don't want to be pinned down. Somebody wants to know something about what's going on in another country, and you will find ways to express ideas which never claim that you really know the answer. Now, you may think I'm running far afield here, but I'm not. What? I'm going to ask the question, what if every time someone asked you a question, you had the capacity to give the actual truth? If somebody said to you, what is 25 times 484,356, and you would be able to say the answer to that right on the spot. What if anything anybody desired to know or wanted to talk to you about caused words to come out of your mouth that were precisely and accurately true? Well, you might think it would be fun for a while. Initially, it would be impressive. But you don't want to be obligated to know the truth all the time. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. It's much safer not to quite know. It's much safer to be able to approximate what is likely to be true under the circumstances. But you don't want to know the truth and have that be what comes out of your mouth in every moment. This week, the practice I want you to engage in is to notice how many times you shift the conversation or the emphasis of what's being discussed into a more general or vague area. I want you to notice if somebody asks you something very specific, how often you provide an answer that becomes quite broad. Somebody says, wow, what's going on with gas prices is outrageous. And there's obviously a great deal of manipulation going on. Now, the person has said this because that subject is of interest, and that person would like to have the best information possible. But for whatever reason, lack of time, lack of energy, lack of interest, you say, yeah, it's really incredible, isn't it? It's outrageous, isn't it? And you've contributed nothing. You have not responded with meaning. You appear to have been conversational and involved with this other person. But you didn't even bother to take the time, and I'm not going to say you didn't bother to take the time to do the two-step. I'm going to say you didn't even bother to take the time to bring into your awareness the best set of facts that you have. Everyone loves to stay in vagueness. Everyone avoids being specific. Oh, you love to hear people who will be specific, but you hate to be specific yourself. Why? You don't want to be held accountable for the meanings you're giving expression to. It's that simple. Now, the reason this all happens is because no one is truly opting for a holy relationship. Everyone is opting for the special relationship. And this is what the subject is last week and this week. And it's not a really happy subject. But let's take a look at it, as I said last week, because to be clear about it helps you shift into a more practical, grounded frame of reference in which actual change can occur, in which healing can occur, and in which you, abandoning your orphanhood, come into a direct, clear experience of your divine birthright. Now, in the book, it says, time is indeed unkind to the unholy relationship. For time is cruel in the ego's hands, as it is kind when used for gentleness. The attraction of the unholy relationship begins to fade and to be questioned almost at once. Aha! You meet somebody, and you recognize potential, not really potential for the ultimate best, but the potential for, we'll say, constructive manipulation that will allow a constructive relationship to occur that has fulfillments to it and in which you can have your needs met and you anticipate being able to meet the needs of the other person in the relationship. Mind you, this is all cogitated. It's all intellectually developed in your mind, and has nothing to do with having an aha where you say, I recognize the hand of God in her. I recognize the hand of God in him. And I recognize that I'm being willing to look at her or him from a joined perspective instead of an exclusively private one of my very own. So, you meet this person, bells ring, lights go on, hearts float through the sky in your vision, and it's wonderful. Well, prior to that time, you may have just been acquaintances. You may just have been two people who have seen each other sort of on a regular basis because you work in the same proximity, but you never talked with each other. So there never was an act of relationship engaged in. But the minute you recognize here is a relationship to be developed and you engage in it, now the attraction begins to fade and to be questioned almost at once. Once it is formed, doubt must enter in because its purpose is impossible. Again, the purpose of the unholy relationship is to not have a relationship while seeming to have one, so that activities can be engaged in that promote one's ego, that promote one's integrity or enhances one's integrity. It's all selfish, and it never involves a real connection with the Holy One in front of you by the Holy One that you are. You know, two people meet, and they're madly in love, and they plan for the wedding, and they're floating on the graceful breezes of bliss and happiness. And then they get married, and perhaps a week, 2 weeks, a month later, you notice things begin to change, and you have a phrase for it. You'd say, the honeymoon is over. Well, that's what it means. The attraction of the unholy relationship begins to fade and to be questioned almost at once. Once it is formed, in other words, once this fantasy relationship is activated, doubt must enter in because its purpose is impossible. The only such relationships which retain the fantasies that center on them are those which have been dreamed of but have not been made at all. In other words, they're still fantasies. They're still you and this other one passing each other in the office, and you have a crush on him or a crush on her. You have an infatuation. You think about them all the time, but you still haven't said anything to them, right? That's a relationship which retains the fantasies that center on them, which have been dreamed of, but have not been made, or we'll say activated, actualized at all. Where no reality has entered, there is nothing to intrude upon the dream of happiness. Yet consider what this means. The more reality that enters into the unholy relationship, the less satisfying it becomes. The better you get to know the person you were head over in heels in love with, the less satisfying it becomes because reality enters the picture. And I'm saying the ego characteristics of your partner become displayed more completely than when you first met and were on your good behavior. Okay? So, the more reality that enters into the unholy relationship, the less satisfying it becomes. And the more the fantasies can encompass, the greater the satisfaction seems to be. Why harp on this? Why keep talking this way? Because you all fool yourselves into thinking that the way you have relationships, where the father's perspective isn't entering into the picture at all, is normal. That it is the human condition, that you must do the best you can with it, and there is no alternative And you see, not only is that belief not true, it's detrimental, it's destructive, because when you adopt that stance, you will not allow for an aha to occur. You are completely blocked against the discovery, the remembering that there was a point at which you did have complete and total union with everything, and you knew who you were, the son or daughter of God, in whom he had embodied all that he is. And you block, by this conviction, any possibility of your remembering that and waking up out of the dream of specialness, out of the dream of ignorance, out of the dream of living in an orphanage, making something wonderful out of yourself, the poor thing that you are. You've got to realize the dullness of this, the meaninglessness of it, so that you're willing to stop in your tracks and refrain from further commitment to this habit of thought and do the two-step. It's that simple. Where no reality has entered, there is nothing to intrude upon the dream of happiness. Yet consider what this means. This is the point again. The more reality that enters into the unholy relationship, the less satisfying it, the unholy relationship, becomes. And the more the fantasies can encompass, the greater the satisfaction seems to be. The ideal of the unholy relationship thus becomes one in which the reality of the other does not enter at all to spoil, in quotes, the dream. And the less the other really brings to it, the better it becomes. Well, I'm upsetting the apple cart. I'm bringing reality into my relationships with you. And it makes you uncomfortable because I help you keep your attention fixed where it needs to be so that you don't fool yourselves. And so that you find yourself uncomfortable enough to make commitment to a new task, a new direction in which to be. Thus the attempt at union becomes a way of excluding even the one with whom the union was sought. You see, you meet someone, there's a real entity there. There's a son or daughter of God. You just see a human being because you yourself have forgotten you're the son or daughter of God. And you begin to relate to this human being as a human being. You see, already everything is a fabrication. Everything is false. Nothing true can come of it. Then you learn to negotiate patterns of behavior with each other that help you not bring too much individuality into the relationship, because that will require too much spontaneous, unrehearsed, unpremeditated response. And you will lose the security of the fantasy. So, you end up being in relationship with someone without being in relationship to them. You are relating to your picture of them. And actually, I would say this. The picture you have of yourself is what you activate in order to relate to the picture you have of them. And they're doing the same thing in return. This is very detrimental. Not because it makes life difficult when everybody's trying to operate according to fantasy, but because engaging in it at all keeps you from waking up, keeps you from doing the two-step, keeps you from saying, in spite of my perception of myself and my perception of them, and in spite of their perception of themselves and their perception of me, Father, what is the truth here? You see? That simply won't happen. As long as you're devoted to the special or unholy relationship. Thus the attempt at union becomes a way of excluding even the one with whom the union was sought, for it was formed to get him out of it and join with fantasies in uninterrupted bliss. Wow. How can the Holy Spirit bring His interpretation of the body as a means of communication into relationships whose only purpose is separation from reality? Sounds like a difficult problem for the Holy Spirit. But the answer's so utterly simple because it comes out of left field. It's not a response to the context of the question. How can the Holy Spirit bring His interpretation of the body as a means of communication into relationships whose only purpose is separation from reality? Here it is. What forgiveness is enables Him to do so. What forgiveness is enables Him to do so. And what did we find forgiveness was? Forgiveness is when you abandon all of the unloving things and thoughts that you engaged in. Selective memory is used, and all that's left is that which was loving that you did, and that which was loving that was done unto you. That new perspective, which has been ever present with you, but hidden like the wheat is hidden by the tares, that is all there to be seen and blessed by if selective memory is used. And isn't the two-step, isn't the practice of the holy instant the practice of abandoning all that wasn't loving, all that wasn't true? It is, because you're saying, aside from what I think, Father, you see, you're going to another source. Father, what is the truth here? What is the love here? Holy Spirit, reveal to me what I covered up by creating perceptions of my own, definitions and meanings of my own that had nothing to do with the thing I was applying the definitions to. If all but loving thoughts has been forgotten. What remains is eternal. And the transformed past, in other words, the past that suddenly sits there clearly without all of the unloving and unlovely things that had been entertained before, in that transformed experience, the past is made like the present. Let me read it again. If all but loving thoughts has been forgotten, what remains is eternal, and the transformed past is made like the present. No longer does the past conflict with now. Now you might say, oh, wait a minute, the now is conflicted. How can the past that's been cleaned up not conflict with now? Well, because now is at each instant God expressing himself totally as the movement of creation, and it is unconflicted. It is flawless right now. You see? You drag the conflicts from the past and apply it to the now. And immediately cover up what was perfectly new now. The transformed past is made like the present. No longer does the past conflict with now. This continuity extends the present by increasing its reality and its value in your perception of it. In other words, when there's nothing present in your past, because you've used selective memory to separate the tares from the wheat, the real from the unreal. What seemed like a troubled and conflicted past becomes a flawlessly perfect past that's exactly like the flawlessly perfect present. And in that undistorted experience of unity, an expansion occurs, so that now is no longer just a local experience for you. Your street, your community, your city, your state, your country, your world, you see. And your conscious experience of being takes in more and more and more of the infinite creation that the infinite God is being at every moment. Your conscious awareness of things becomes infinite as an actual experience. This continuity extends the present by increasing its reality and its value in your perception of it. In these loving thoughts, the ones that remain, because the unloving thoughts have been selected out by selective memory, in these loving thoughts is the spark of beauty hidden in the ugliness of the unholy relationship in which the hatred is remembered, yet there to come alive as the relationship is given to him who gives it life and beauty, meaning the Holy Spirit. Now that's a little bit difficult to understand. In these loving thoughts that remain after selective memory, in these loving thoughts is the spark of beauty, and I'm going to add the words, which was hidden in the ugliness of the unholy relationship in which the hatred is remembered. In other words, before it was selected out by selective memory. In which the hatred is remembered, yet it, the spark of beauty, is yet there to come alive as the relationship is given to him who gives it life and beauty. Everything real, everything true, every little bit of love that you have expressed even while you were asleep and dreaming a dream of humanhood is eternal and has remained present for what it was, for what it is. Right in the middle of the ugliness of the unholy relationships. It has been there to be uncovered and brought to life, illuminated, so that it could illuminate you. That's what it means. That is why atonement centers on the past, which is the source of separation, and where it must be undone. For separation must be corrected where it was made. Again, let's keep it simple. Where was the separation made? It was made in the decision on your part where you said, Father, I would rather see it my way. It's not that it was really made in the past. It was made in a decision. A decision that can be unmade. And the unmaking of it has nothing to do with time, past, present, or future. It's important to understand. The ego seeks to resolve its problems not at their source, but where they were not made. You see, you try to solve your problems with your fellow man who's creating a difficult situation for you. But that's not the source of the problem. The source of the problem is that you, in your present relationship with your brother, are not looking at your brother after having first done the two-step. You're engaging with your brother without first having said, Father, what is the truth here about me and my brother? What is the truth about what our relationship is? I think that we're just two human beings, two organisms, but I hear that we're really the sons of God, that God is our Father, not our human parents and not a sperm and an egg germinating. I hear that. What's the truth? How will things look if I say okay to the perspective that I'm told is mine because you placed it in me? But I won't experience it until somehow I say, okay, Father, I'll let you be my Father, and I won't claim to be an independent entity. I won't even claim that you made me and gave me intelligence to be on my own. The ego seeks to resolve its problems not at their source, but where they were not made. And thus it seeks to guarantee there will be no solution. That's where the detrimental, destructive aspects of the special relationship are. It seeks to guarantee there will be no solution. The Holy Spirit that which is nothing more than your right mind, wills only to make his resolutions complete and perfect, and so he seeks and finds the source of problems where it is, and there undoes it. The Holy Spirit says to you, as I'm saying to you, stop. Do the two-step. Engage in the holy instant. You see, the Holy Spirit directs you to where the source of the problem lies. Apparently, it lies in a decision you made some time ago, apparently in the past, but you're not going to go back to the past to correct it. You're going to, because the past, a date in time and space, is not where the mistake was made. It was made in a decision. And so the Holy Spirit directs you there by saying, engage in the holy instant. In every moment, ask, Father, what is the truth here? Father, what is the truth here? Father, what is the truth about me and this one I'm in relationship with? Because that truth is the one I want to base my actions upon. You see? And with each step in his, the Holy Spirit's, undoing, is the separation more and more undone and union brought closer. He is not at all confused by any reasons for separation, you see. He's very clear about what's needed, and he doesn't care about the reasons that might be given. Well, it was a bad day, and I didn't have time to think clearly, and so I made a mistake, and then, then what happened. Doesn't matter. None of those things matter. What matters is, right now, are you going to say, Father, what is the truth here? All he, the Holy Spirit, perceives in separation is what? Something so utterly simple, that it must be undone. That's all. You don't have to unjustify it. You don't have to go through all the reasons. You don't have to do all this stuff that keeps things in nebulous vagueness. Listen to this. Nothing vague or nebulous. All he perceives in separation is that it must be undone. That's all. Let him uncover the hidden spark of beauty in your relationships and show it to you. Its loveliness will so attract you that you will be unwilling ever to lose sight of it again. Well, the actual experiential fact of it is that you will recognize its value. But your old habits will still seem valuable to you, and you're not likely to make commitment initially to the beauty of the love that the Holy Spirit has uncovered that allows for your release from the orphanage. But I will tell you this. After the first experience you have, you will have others, and you will never be able to be completely at ease and comfortable in your ignorance again. And as a result, the ignorance that had not bothered you for, you would say, forever, will begin to be felt as an undercurrent, an unsettled, disruptive undercurrent that will increase in strength, so that you truly arrive at a point where you're unwilling to ever lose the sight of it again. Its loveliness will so attract you that you will be unwilling ever to lose the sight of it again. It will happen. You can facilitate its happening with less stress by consciously engaging in the holy instant. You now have an idea, and you can practice it. And you will not be at the beck and call of your emotions and your long-standing habits of self-centeredness. And you will let it transform the relationship so you can see it more and more, for you will want it more and more, and become increasingly unwilling to let it be hidden from you. Mind you, you're liable to experience this in a mirror image, meaning that you are more likely to feel uncomfortable where before you had always felt comfortable, and that discomfort will increase, causing you to willingly say, Father, what is the truth here? Father, I really want to know what the truth is here. And you will learn to seek for and establish conditions in which this beauty can be seen. The simple fact is you will begin to appear to be an individual with resolve, not wimpy, not just going with the flow. You will begin to become demanding of the experience of God in your relationships with everything, as a holy son of God relating to, or daughter of God, relating to holy sons or daughters of God, or as a holy son or daughter of God relating to all of creation. All this you will do gladly if you but let him hold the spark before you. If you but let him hold the spark before you. Is Holy Spirit, what is the truth here? That's what you're asking for. You're asking for the Holy Spirit or God to hold the spark in front of you. What is the truth here? You don't want to see darkness, a void. That's what the two-step is about. That's what the holy instant is about. Let him hold the spark before you to light your way and make it clear to you. God's Son is one. Not one, who also is a shadow image. Held by you and others around you. God's Son is one, indivisible. No misperceptions, no definitions, no meanings, separate and apart from the perfect one, the Son of God, that God is expressing himself as. Whom God has joined as one, the ego cannot break apart. When you read sentences like that, you know that it means that it therefore never has happened. Whom God has joined as one, the ego cannot break apart, and therefore it has never been broken apart, no matter how broken you seem to be experiencing yourself. You've got to become definite. You've got to establish the conditions in which the beauty can be seen. You see, the spark of holiness must be safe, however hidden it may be, in every relationship. Listen to that. This is because of who you really are, the son or daughter of God. The spark of holiness must be safe, however hidden it may be, in every relationship. Because no matter what kind of shadow image is defining you in your mind, you've never stopped being the son or daughter of God, the Holy One. And so the spark of holiness has never been altered. It must be safe, however hidden it may be, in every relationship, for the creator of the one relationship has left no part of it without himself. You see, the Father did not create you and then abandon you to be on your own. Your holiness in this instance is derived from the presence of the movement of God in this moment right there where you are. That's the truth about you. That's the truth about your fellow man. And that's the truth you want to have embellished and broadened as your conscious experience. It's that experience is the reason for the practice of the holy instant. Now I'm going to end here. And as you consider during the coming week what we've discussed, I want you to look for the spark. The spark of love that is present in everything you do and is present in everything everyone else does. Because anything that any of you are doing is an act of a holy son or daughter of God. That fact hasn't changed. Don't become too somber about the things we're discussing, but be willing to be serious about them so that their serious consideration might move you to a practical willingness to engage in the holy instant, to move into that place where God's laws prevail, where your holiness and your brother's or sister's holiness is secure, unviolated, available to be experienced as the transforming of your mind and the contributive factor to the transforming of your brother's or sister's minds. I love you very much.